Hey guys, I just wanted to do a small update on the rape that I experienced through this Yankee White racketeering process. I'm in my security clearance process for a Yankee White, which is a higher level security clearance. And the people involved in investigating and adjudicating the security clearance itself are involved in various nefarious ways of trying to claw back the money that I am owed for compensation. And one example is individuals like Danielle Olson and Jacqueline Braden, who are involved in the security clearance process, as well as Nicole Giampiano. Those three are friends, and so they're easy to mention next to each other. And then you also have folks like Viola Ulhuck, who also goes by the name Olivia, who also goes by the name Violet. That's Saif Ulhuck's wife. And then you have Ahmed Abdullah's wives. Um, he has a couple of twin fiancées. And then you have Saif Abdullah's wife, some Lebanese chick with a ton of plastic surgery. But so you have a bunch of these chicks, and they're all involved in the squadrons that issue the Yankee White security clearances, and they all fly, fighter jets together, and they fly A-10s together, and or they just work in intelligence in general, and they're a very close knit community, and they all know each other. And what they decided to do, since my security clearance damages compensation has climbed up so high, is they decided that they felt entitled to a portion of my the money that I'm owed, and they said, okay, what we can do is we can rape him, get footage and documentation of it, and claim that it was some sort of consensual relationship, consensual dating, etc., etc. And these people are all aware that there was an actual, very much unconsensual rape that occurred on Davis Monthan Air Force Base. These folks know that, but they really wanted to get my money, and so that helps clarify further that like these aren't just like some friends that turned into rapists. No, these are people that absolutely lack any empathy, and they turn to rape as a solution to gaining some sort of income. And all of these folks themselves, and they conspire to help cover up for others. What they do is they anesthetize me, so they send in some chloroform gas into my room, or some carbon monoxide, or excessive carbon dioxide to where I'm not able to cognitively function as well. They send that into my room in the nighttime. They come in, they do their thing, whether it may be interrogation. Uh, that's something they've done in the past, and that's part of the investigation process for a security clearance is interrogations. And so they use these military weapon systems, this military training to do nefarious things and just rob somebody that they feel is vulnerable, right? They assume that because I have traits that align with a high functioning autistic or something, that I am unable to care for myself. But in reality, I'm an academic. I'm kind of a little bit of a dork. I like reading more than I do going out and drinking at bars, or Danielle Olson would spend money from my mother's trust just to throw parties and get shit-faced drunk all the time. And so instead of doing things like that, I like to just keep to myself and enjoy myself. And it's not because I'm antisocial. I definitely know how to socialize. I enjoy it from time to time, but it's just where I find a lot of happiness is doing my own thing. And so, anyways, uh, I recently found out that more and more they've been getting chicks to line up basically in a row to get some sort of footage of them cuddling with me, right? And I love to cuddle. I always have. And it could be, a platonic friend even. Cuddling is just like one of the best feelings, and it's something I really enjoy. I probably enjoy it a little bit more than sex, to be honest. So, them knowing that, they come and they set up a phone and get footage of them cuddling with me. I'm like basically drunk off the drugs that they put into the room, the gases that they put into the room. But I end up, holding them in my arms when they crawl up in my arms. Like it's just what I'm used to. Whether it's like like even if it was a little kiddo, you know, like a family member, that's something that I know how to do. Even if it was a dog that jumped into my bed in the middle of the night, like that's something that I just do. A cat even. And so they're trying to use that as some sort of evidence that we're involved in a relationship, and they are owed for, you know, bearing the weight of some of the responsibilities and some of the attention that the security clearance process can take. But in reality, all of these chicks that are throwing themselves at me, basically, including Danielle Olson, but and she's a whole story. I mean, she's a whole video. Like she would send me pornos of her and uh, her boyfriend Yasser, aka Nico. It's a whole thing, and funny story, Nico actually stalked me over to NAU, and we played basketball together. And I realized like a little bit later on that I was playing with the Danielle Olson's pornography friend. But that's you know, I'm digressing a little bit. So yeah, I mean, that's what they're up to. That's what they do. Sayef Abdullah and Saif ul Haq said that they would store semen samples and just impregnate women if I refused to date a woman of their choosing. Um, yeah, I mean, the most prolific and most absolutely retardedly nuts woman that I've had to deal with to this date is Viola Olhak, and you know, I treated her with respect even through the bad things that she was doing to me, because she is a she's special needs to some extent or the other. I mean, she calls it autism, but to be honest, I think it's a little bit more than that. And she's married to Saif ul Haq, and he's like really fucking retarded. I mean, very, like, his brain is undeveloped, and so it's like she doesn't even have like a man in her life. It's just like she has another special needs kid, and it's like, oh, like you crawl up into an actual man's arms in the nighttime, like somebody whose body can actually spoon you, like somebody who's big enough to actually like I kind of empathize with her, and it's weird because somebody's doing something like that to you. It wasn't Stockholm syndrome, right? It's not like, you know, it kind of felt a little Stockholm syndrome, but a lot of it was pity. You know, it was, you don't expect somebody to empathize with a perpetrator of crime against themselves. You know, it's like, but she just has it so wrong, and she's surrounded by a crowd of people that treat her like shit. I mean, her entire friend circle just uses her for blowjobs. Like every man she knows, she suffers from sex addiction, and so like, and she wouldn't listen. Like when I would tell her not to rape me, she wouldn't listen, and so I was like, I would pretend to be into it and be like, oh, give me a few nights off, you know, just to like try to space it out as much as I could, and eventually, like I broke, and I was like, dude, I really don't want any of this. I never have, and I never will. Sayef Abdullah is just like forcing me to play along. Not once was I conscious through what the things she would do to me. Like she would drug me every time in the middle of the night time. It's not like I was ever conscious and communicating with her and enjoying the sex acts. You know, it's not like I ever felt a single orgasm. It was just a special needs kid coming through during the nighttime, and I mean, yeah, like I said before, she struggles with sex addiction. It's something she told me about. A lot of the people in the Admiral Sayef Abdullah's friend circle struggle with sex addiction because I guess once you get so wealthy, you get bored and there's nothing to do, and you just end up fucking everybody, and you end up obsessing over what to do with all your free time now that you're wealthy. And a lot of these people just resort to having a bunch of sex, and so that's like a huge part of their lifestyle, and sexuality is part of most people's lifestyles. I mean, it's just a human thing, but they took it to extremes, you know, and they took it even to the extremes of rape. And at some point, the girl that goes by Viola Ulhuk, um, she stopped wanting just sex with me. Like she wanted a full blown relationship with me. She's like, I like the way you treat me so much better than them. I hate it here, blah blah blah. And I was like, honey, I'm sorry, but you don't get to just like treat somebody like shit for years and months and months and years and be best friends with Lilia Bernanke, who also, you know, gave me unconsensual oral sex in the nighttime. It's like you don't get to do that to somebody for years and years, and then try to force a relationship, right? And Danielle Olson and her friends are like trying to come back, crawl back to me as good friends. It's like you guys are literally raping me, and documenting it on video so that you can try to rob me of some security clearance compensation. And it's like they're very aware of the goings on in my life. They stalked me up to Flagstaff. They stalked me around the entire country. I mean, Nicole Giampiano, a rapist that has herpes, she followed me up to Idaho, and she was working at Red Bench Pizzeria, and she was like making the other managers fire me on purpose. And so it's just this whole thing of a bunch of shitty people. They work in intelligence. They issue the security clearances, but they're also very much involved in doing everything they can to claw that money back. And they use military weapon systems all the while to work towards that effort of robbing you of your security clearance compensation. And it's not like I was trained up in ways that I have the same capabilities of them. They give you the absolute bare minimum training. And we're talking like no training at all. And they do that intentionally so that you're even more vulnerable to their theft effort, their little heist. And I made this video because Danielle Olson reached out with a little angry selfie photo. She was like, "Stop making fun of me for taking dick in my porno." And it's like, honey, first of all, you sent that to me, and damn, Yasser was just laying that shit down. But I kind of felt nauseated when I realized I was watching people that I thought were my friends. I don't like to watch pornos of people that I know. I'm not really that sexually adventurous, and so it was all weird. I mean, it was all weird. And Danielle Olson, like that same day, she showed up to the DMV and was acting as the DMV clerk, and she was denying me my ability to get a driver's license. And I was like, "Hey, I'm curious about like this VA. How do I get veteran status on my ID?" She's like, "Okay, well, did you fill out the forms at the VA? Did you bring this and that?" I was like, "No, I have my this form that says I'm a veteran from the military itself. Does that work?" She's like being such an angry bitch to me. It was awful. And yeah, and so that kind of encompasses who she is as a person to me, just another rapist, just another person enabling rape, just another person that shows up to Flagstaff courthouse acting as a judge to deny me my restraining orders against her own friends, and she did that in Maricopa County as well. And so it's very plain to see that these people are very shitty. It's all interconnected, and I'm not some crazy person pointing at some sort of corkboard chart with a bunch of strings drawn between this and that and the other. I mean, it's so plain to see, right? I mean, you have Jacqueline Braden, and she struggles with the concept of infidelity, and she's trying to have sex with me even after I told her that I didn't want to have a threesome with her and her boyfriend. And she tries to start a relationship with me. It's like, honey, you were just racist against me yesterday. uh, she's Jewish Israeli, and I have Palestinian heritage, and for that reason she feels like she has the right to treat me like a Nazi, and she very much does. And these days at NAU campus, she follows me around, and she grabs anybody with authority that she can, and she's like, "That guy over there, he's autistic, he has multiple personality disorder." And it's like, whatever, dude. The best I can do is, mind my own business and live my best life. But she does everything she can to try to ruin my life because she's a fucking pathetic loser. She has a relationship she doesn't really enjoy. Her boyfriend thinks her tits are tiny, and he like literally fantasizes about his ex-girlfriend's tits while we're hanging out. And it's just like this whole sad thing. It's like this group of people that work in intelligence that I thought were gonna be cool, just started cannibalizing and tearing up not only my friendship but their own friendships. I mean, they're friends of convenience. They just happen to live together. They're dating because they live together, and they might as well keep it that way. They're friends because they're working together on this little scheme. They call it their little startup, their scheme to rob me of my security clearance compensation. And at the top of all this is high-ranking individuals like Danielle Olson and Sayef Abdullah, who are enabling the rapes, and even going as far as filming pornos of me being drugged, whacked out of my mind. I mean, I wake up the next day, I don't know a thing about it, but the next day they'll tell me all about it. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, we sent twins into your bedroom," and Danielle Olson will show up to a restaurant where I'm eating, and she'd be like, "Did anybody order two chicks in a box?" And it's not like it's not like we were close enough to where we discussed these kinds of things. She was just like a person that would invite me to her, alcohol binge festivals once a weekend. I'd have a couple beers, hang out, crash at the pool. Not once did I have sex with any of them. I just kept it somewhat professional because um, they let me know that they worked in intelligence, and they let me know that they were, processing my security clearance. And so there's just all this conflict of interests and unprofessionalism. And I wouldn't want to say, oh, these people let me know they work in intelligence, but I think it's, a secret is a secret to a certain point. But like once those people are trying to ruin your life, you're like, hey, you guys are aware that you made me privy to the fact that you do this and that, and you work for these folks, and that you were aware of the fact that I took notice that you were being racist against me for being where I'm from. And yeah, I mean, that's been like the repeat rape issue. And another place they did that was in my RV when I was traveling around before I moved into my dorm. And I just think it's really important that I document this. I'm uploading it to my YouTube channel for the Yankee White Racketeers documentary. And thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you listening to this documentary segment. It's one of the most important ones, to be honest, because when they found out that I wasn't interested in marrying Lilia Bernanke, who was unfaithful, when they found out that I wasn't interested in dating Nicole Giampiano, who raped me before she propositioned dating me. I woke up one time like in a daze, and my hands were tied at the head of my bed, and she was going down on me. It's like when I woke up to that in the middle of my night in the nighttime when I lived at a place in Chandler. It was like I knew that these folks were, not just uh, uh, processing security clearances. These people were using military weapon systems and disguises to their advantage to actually rob me. And at that point in my life, I was definitely a civilian. It's not. It wasn't a case of me being still in the military somehow, some way. Like I definitely was issued my release from the military, and I was living my life as a civilian, and they were conducting themselves this way. And yeah, so and I refused to date the arranged marriages of their choice, so that they would know for certain that they would be entitled to my money. When I refused to be raped by them, so that they could say that they were a relationship of sorts, maybe not a full blown marriage, but at least a relationship of sorts. When I refused to do that, they started making it happen to me, and they would do the whole gassing me out in my bedroom kind of a thing, breaking in, picking the lock, etc., etc. And yeah, I just think you guys should all know how this all ties in together and how everybody is involved. And since I've been documenting the rapes more frequently and putting it in official paper and making official documentation of it, they resorted to attempts at less surreptitious things. Like they would try to make a porno with me, right? They would drug me out of my brain and then make a porno with me, or they would send me their pornography. So folks that work at the Navajo National Guard base, Camp Navajo National Guard, they would send me their pornos, like against me wanting it. And these people were often my coworkers down at places like Iwa's Thai Cuisine, for example, uh, or. Or and then you have the nut jobs like Lilia Bernanke, who went by the name Campbell. She would stalk me all the way up to Idaho and all the way back down the West Coast. And she came over to Hero Sushi and she pretended to be a manager there. And the actual managers, hired her on, and they enabled her. And they let her steal my tips, and she would force me to work with her alone. And she would like really awkwardly flirt with me. And so I think this video is less about rape alone, but more so nefarious attempts and absolute desperation, and how easy it is to relate it to their effort of robbing me of my finances. And at the pinnacle of all this is Viola Ulhak, uh, as their most chosen girl, because they noticed that I pitied her a little bit, and they figured maybe they could twist that into an actual relationship, an actual dating thing. But the truth is, she's kind of a rapist, and you know, at some point, I had no choice but to report her for what she was doing, because she was cutting my face. She would cut the breathing holes in my face mask really wide. She would grab my fingertip and cut it with razor blades. Um, and she would attempt to murder me several times. She's like an actual nut job, you know, and so I guess that's why she had to settle for a very wealthy, you know, retarded kid like Saiful Haq. But anyways, I think that about does it for this video. I don't know how many times I've said that now, but thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.